I never imagined a love so deep could lead to heart-wrenching goodbyes. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The air was thick with tension, each breath a struggle as the truth crashed down around me. There I stood, heart racing, tears burning my eyes, trembling hands clutching the letter that changed my life forever. It was scrawled with a messy flourish, but the words blasted through my chest like gunfire. "I'm leaving." In that cold, dim room, shadows danced against the walls. The scent of old books mixed with something bitter regret, perhaps. I glanced at the window. Rain poured relentlessly, droplets racing each other down the glass. Just like my thoughts. Would I ever catch up? Would I ever truly understand? Eli. My Eli. The man who made my heart soar and my spirit tremble. I couldn't fathom that our laughter, our whispered dreams beneath the stars, could evaporate into nothingness. Each memory sliced through me like glass. The way his eyes crinkled when he smiled. His voice deep and soothing, yet now echoing with uncertainty. Our love felt like a secret spell, weaving its way into every crevice of my life. But there was something darker lurking beneath the surface. I had sensed it: the late-night phone calls, the silences stretching too long. Friends noticed it too. Sarah, my best friend, had griped about the shadows cast over our relationship. "Something's not right," she had said. I brushed her off, held onto my naivete like a child holds onto a beloved toy. But now I felt the crushing weight of every warning, every late-night doubt. With every passing second, the finality of that letter sank deeper in my bones. I should have fought harder. I should have begged for him to stay. But pride had held my tongue tight. As I stood there, the rain tapped a chaotic rhythm against the roof, each drop a reminder of my impending solitude. I felt raw, exposed. My heartbeat screamed against the silence. Could I carry on without him? The thought was unimaginable, yet it began to settle, ominous and unyielding. Suddenly my phone buzzed, tearing through the heavy stillness. It was a message from Eli. My heart flipped. I stared at the screen. "Meet me at our spot. There's something you need to know." The world tilted again. Did he regret his decision? Would he understand my pain? But as hope flickered in the dim light of despair, a darker thought clawed into my mind. What if he wasn't coming back? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The air felt burdened as I stepped out into the unrelenting downpour. Each drop fell like a whispered agony from the sky, blending with my own tears that refused to be contained. An ache settled in my chest, a desperate mix of hope and dread propelling me forward. I clutched my coat tighter, memories of sunlit afternoons with Eli crashing against the veil of rain, a stark contrast to the storm raging inside me as I approached our spot, the old, gnarled oak tree by the lake where we had spent countless hours wrapped in laughter. The ground squelched beneath my feet. I shook my head, angry at myself for feeling as though every step was an echo of his absence, but it couldn't be helped. This place was a shrine to our love, a silent witness to the promises we made under its protective branches. He was already waiting for me, standing with his back to me, his silhouette darkened by the clouds above. The moment I stepped closer, I noticed the slumped shoulders, the way his hands were stuffed deep in his pockets. My heart flipped again, desperately wanting to believe he had come to take it all back, to reclaim the life we'd built. "Eli," I whispered, hesitating as the name fell from my lips like a fragile prayer. He turned slowly, his features blurred by the rain, but his eyes still shone with that familiar brightness, albeit tinged with loneliness. "I'm glad you came." His voice, usually thick with confidence, now trembled with an urgency that broke my heart further. "I needed to see you." In that moment, with rain drenching our clothes and the world around us fading into a muted blur, I found a flicker of hope igniting within the shadow of despair. Could it be that the letter had meant something more than what I had feared? "Why, you left me with a letter, Eli. What could you possibly say that could change what happened?" The fire in my words felt hot and raw, overlapping with my desperation to understand. He stepped closer, his face a mere inches from mine, the warmth radiating from his body twisting my insides. Please just listen. I could see the desperation etched in the lines of his face, the wavering intensity in his gaze. It mirrored my own tumultuous heart. Okay. I nodded, my voice steady despite the storm brewing deep within me. Listening, his fingers brushed against mine so gently, as though afraid that any pressure would shatter what remained of us. You have to know that leaving wasn't what I wanted. I didn't choose this, not really. His eyes drifted away, and the rain streamed down like a curtain between us. What are you talking about? This isn't some misunderstanding. You left me. The memory of that letter stole the breath from my lungs, and it felt like I was choking on the pain he had inflicted. I know, Eli said, his voice growing more urgent. But I thought I was protecting you. The truth is, he stopped, swallowed hard, and drew in a shaky breath. The weight of unspoken words hung between us like a mist, thick and suffocating. The truth is, I was in deep with someone I shouldn't have been. My heart thudded painfully against my ribcage. I fought against the overwhelming urge to pull away. What does that mean? Who? The calm facade I tried to maintain crumbled as the vulnerability swamped me. It was never about love. I promise you that. But it put us in danger. His eyes locked onto mine, his hand gripping my wrist tightly as if I were slipping away. I didn't want you to get hurt. Eli, the words caught in my throat, clashing with the fear that clawed at me. Are you in some kind of trouble? I can't tell you everything right now, he said, glancing over his shoulder as though the truth itself could leap out and ensnare us both in its grasp. But you need to trust me. It'll get worse if you don't stay away. You have to promise me that. Stay away? I scoffed, the humor evaporating at the sight of his anguished face. You leave me with a letter saying you're gone, and then you want me to walk away again? Eli, we deserve better than this. As those words escaped my lips, something changed in his expression, a defiance masked in terror. There's something I didn't tell you. Someone left a message. That letter was just the beginning. They know about us, and if you don't listen, his voice cracked, and I beheld a new reality unfolding, a darkness lurking beneath the surface of my once innocent world. Eli, what are you saying? The rain blurred my vision as tears pooled again, fear creeping in like a thief in the night. Just as he opened his mouth to speak, piercing the air with secrets held too long, a loud crack of thunder rolled overhead, echoing through the hollow space of my heart, drowning out his next words. I stood rooted in place, echoing weather and internal chaos circling around me, uncertain if the storm had come from the heavens or the tempest brewing between us. Then, through the haze of rain, a shadow loomed behind Eli, and as I took a step back, a figure appeared, cloaked in darkness, watching us. At that moment, my scattered thoughts converged into a single terrifying realization. Our love story had drifted far beyond whispers and light. It had become a perilous journey, one where the stakes felt higher than we could have ever imagined. And I was left to wonder with every heartbeat if our shared dreams had now morphed into a waking nightmare. The figure moved closer, the heavy rain enveloping us in an eerie mist, blurring the edges of reality. My heart raced, each panicked beat echoing the dread that settled in my stomach like a stone. Ellis' grip tightened on my wrist, his body slightly shifting as he placed himself between me and the approaching shadow. I could see the tension in the rigid line of his shoulders, a familiar sense of protectiveness mixed with a dawning helplessness. Who are you? Eli called out, his voice strained but firm, as if commanding the very storm to cease. The figure paused, obscured by the downpour, an unsettling stillness hanging in the air. Eli, I whispered, fear lacing my words as a chill raced down my spine. What's happening? They're here for me, Eli muttered, his eyes darting to the figure and back to me, panic flashing across his usually confident features. You need to go. Now. Go? I'm not leaving you. I protested, my voice trembling as I grappled with the gravity of his words. How could I abandon him when he was so clearly in trouble? The love we shared wove together desperation and defiance, rich and heady, but now it felt frayed at the edges, strands unraveling by the second. A sarcastic laugh erupted from the figure, gravelly and mocking, cutting through the patter of rain. You think you can run from us, Eli? You've made your choices. Now you'll face the consequences. Their voice dripped with menace, each word sharp as glass. No, I shouted, fighting against Ellis' grip, the fear morphing into an adrenaline-fueled determination. You can't just stand there. We can figure this out together. Eli turned toward me, pain swirling in his eyes, and for a fleeting moment, I saw the boy I fell in love with beneath the layers of complicity and betrayal. Listen to me, he said urgently, gripping my shoulders as if grounding me against the storm. I'll find you. But for now you need to run. Run? Are you out of your mind? This isn't some movie, it's our lives at stake. My voice cracked, but my resolve strengthened. I couldn't let fear drive my actions. It was too late for that. Another crack of thunder resounded, drowning us both in its booming ferocity as the figure stepped closer, face to face with Eli. They tilted their head, laughter bubbling from deep within. You really think you can protect her? You've made a mess of this and you will pay, Eli. I turned to him, terror uncoiling my insides. What do they want? His gaze dropped, swallowing back his own fear. My past, my mistakes, they want me to pay for what I did. You have to trust me to keep you safe. Before I could respond, the stranger lunged, knocking Eli aside with surprising force. Instinctively I stepped back, staring at the chaos unfolding before me, heart hammering. I could hardly breathe, the world around me blurred into chaos, the rain feeling heavier as if trying to drown my anguish. Eli! I screamed, but my voice was swallowed by the violent rhythm of the storm. I felt helpless, caught in a moment that threatened to rip us apart once and for all. Run! His voice was strained, words stretched like elastic before snapping. I watched helplessly as the figure tackled him to the ground, the thud echoing through my heart like an agonizing drum. No! I cried out, panic spurring me into action just as dread set deep in my heart. I pivoted, my hands trembling from the shock of it all, adrenaline surging in my veins. Something primal urged me to flee, but another energy tugged fiercely in the opposite direction, urging me to save him. I won't leave you. I screamed against the cruel storm, but I felt the invisible chains of fear gripping me tighter, anchoring me to this heart-wrenching scene. Suddenly, Ella's voice broke through the cacophony, sharp and clear. You have to go now. They can't take you. But a sudden intense pain shot through my heart as I looked back. A flash of light illuminated the figure raising a fist, and in that moment, I saw reality crystallizing. I understood that not only was there danger surrounding us, but my leaving could mean abandoning the choice to confront our demons together. With a burst of fury, I lunged forward, but the world seemed to collapse around us. A whirl of darkness and betrayal. The shadows danced amidst the rain, fears metamorphosing into a chilling truth. Love was never enough to shield us from the dangers lurking beneath the surface. Another deafening crack reverberated through the air as I stumbled back, looking for anything to grab hold of in this stormy hell. Eli! I cried, the urgency tearing through me as I found my bearings and readied myself. But as I stood there, trembling and disoriented, the world felt eerily still, the air thickening with impending doom. My breath caught as I saw Ellis' defiant stance against that menacing figure. His eyes locked on mine, and in that instant, a spark of connection ignited what remained of our universe, so fragile yet so potent, hanging by a thread. Then came a sudden shock, a blinding light that flashed through the rain, silencing everything else as it enveloped us. And with it, an unexpected realization struck me harder than any blow. What if they weren't after just Eli? What if I had unwittingly stepped into a battle far more complex than love, a war that threatened to consume everything we held dear? And suddenly, amidst the pandemonium, I sensed a lurking truth, one that could either tear us apart or bind us together for eternity. As the light faded and shadows loomed closer, I knew that if our love was to survive, it would need to face this storm head-on with both of us standing strong. But would we have that chance? Or was the looming figure ready to sever the thread that held our hearts together? The air crackled with a tension that felt almost electric, every heartbeat echoing the chaos swirling around us. In the brief moment of that blinding light, time seemed to stretch, allowing fears and memories to tumble through my mind like leaves caught in a whirlwind. I could hear the distant roar of thunder, yet it felt muted, too far away from the reality unfolding just before me. Ellis' gaze held mine, a fierce determination sparking in his green depths as the figure raised a fist, resuming its ominous advance. Tears threatened to spill, but I blinked them away, refusing to break under the weight of despair. Behind Eli, the world blurred into noise and light, but our connection was a lifeline, a whisper against the storm. As the figure moved, A sense of dread coiled tighter around me, almost suffocating. "Please," I uttered in a hoarse whisper, my voice a blend of desperation and love. "Eli, please don't let them win." "Trust me," he replied, his voice a fierce thing against the storm. "Whatever happens, you have to believe that it'll find a way back to you. Just go." But I felt stagnant, the roots of love and fear anchoring me in place, fierce and unyielding. The ground was slick and treacherous, a fitting metaphor for the stormy road our lives had become. I could hear the echoes of my heart hammering against my ribs, drowning out the equally relentless cries of the storm around us. Suddenly, a jolt of movement snapped me from my stupor. Eli lunged forward, putting himself between me and the looming figure. His back was straight, shoulders squared, a protective wall forged from courage. The world around me faded into a murmur as I watched him, my heart swelling with pride yet breaking at the same time. "Fight!" I shouted, my voice rising above the crashing rain. "Fight! I believe in you." The figure hesitated, as if being struck by an unseen force. Eli seized the moment, and the instinct to protect me surged through him like wildfire. He didn't need to be told twice. He lunged, a shadow against the rain-soaked backdrop, a blur of anger and desperation. I felt powers collide, the storm erupting around us as if echoing the tumult inside me. My hands curled into fists, nails digging into the skin of my palms as I grappled with the incessant urge to run, to hide. But there was nowhere to escape, not from this. The more I watched the struggle, the more I understood what was at stake. That it was not just Ellis' past they wanted, not merely a reckoning of his mistakes. It was our love, our future, and the choices that had led us here. With each punch, each desperate flail against the figure, Eli was fighting not just for himself but for the promise we had made to each other to never give up. The rain continued to fall, drenching me with its chaotic rhythm, but it was the unyielding resolve within me that sparked a flicker of hope. Instinctively I stepped forward, determined to be part of this fight. "Eli!" I screamed, the syllables woven together in a tapestry of defiance. "I won't let you do this alone." In that instance, the figure turned, a malevolent smile playing across its face, dark eyes locking onto mine. "Ah, the little bird has decided to sing, hasn't she? But love is a dangerous game, sweetheart. Are you ready to pay the price?" My blood ran cold as the implications of those words settled in the air around us. "What do you want from us?" I cried, my voice rising against the rain. "Simple," the figure sneered, taking a menacing step towards Eli, who was reeling but unyielding. "His choices will bleed into your life, sweetheart. You want to save him, but you might lose yourself in the process." The word struck me like an icy wind, filling me with uncertainty. Suddenly, the storm felt more ominous, murky shadows creeping closer, feeding on the realization that our entangled fates might hold deadly repercussions. I moved closer, heart racing, desperation driving me onward. "You can't have him!" I shouted, my voice a blend of fury and fierce love. "He is more than his past. We've built something worth fighting for." As I spoke those words, Ellis' eyes lit with something beyond despair, hope. Our strength, tangled in the chaos, formed an unbreakable bond. I could see it flickering in the way he turned back towards me, igniting a flame of resolve. But as the figure lunged again, catching Eli off guard, a sickening feeling washed over me. I surged forward, reckless, feeling the misery and darkness stretch out like a web around us. "No!" I screamed, driven by instinct to save him, my body colliding against the figure's shoulder. For a second, everything froze as my heartbeat thudded in my ears, and the world around us rippled under the sheer force of emotions. Eli turned, momentarily distracted by my movement, and in that fleeting second, I saw the momentary flash of victory die in the figure's eyes, replaced by a sinister grin. Then, everything crescendoed in an explosion of sound and light, drowning out the storm entirely. The weight of the moment pressed down, a suffocating pulse of uncertainty. Suddenly, the figure was gone, vanishing like a wisp of smoke carried off by the wind, and Eli and I stood together in the downpour, breaths rapid and uneven. Were we safe? I glanced around, heart still racing violently in my chest. "Eli," I gasped, finally able to look at him properly. "Are you okay? What just happened?" But before he could respond, a deafening thunder ripped through the night, and the storm turned even wilder. The earth beneath us trembled ominously, and as we stood there, drenched and panting, I felt the ground begin to shift and crack beneath us. Light flashed again, but this time not from the figure's presence, but something much larger, much more terrifying. A bright fissure appeared in the sky, a doorway of chaotic energy swirling with colors that bent and twisted like a living thing. "Sky!" Eli shouted, his voice heightened by urgency, yet filled with wonder. "We need to move." But before I could process his words, pain shot through me as the world around us began to unravel. The ground shook violently, and I felt myself being pulled, torn from Ella's side. The spectral light drew me in, a force beyond my understanding, and all I could do was scream his name, feeling the connection between us stretch thin, desperate, fighting against this cruel fate. "Sky!" He yelled, his hands outstretched toward me, and in that moment, our hearts screamed for each other across the expanse, a battle against the unknown force threatening to rip us apart. And just like that, I was lost, plunging into the light, the storm behind me a distant memory as Ella's face faded from view, his cries echoing in my heart, a bittersweet harmony in a world that had become a cacophony of broken dreams and raging storms. The light engulfed me, swallowing my consciousness whole, a dazzling chaos blurring my vision. I spun through a kaleidoscope of colors, scents, and whispers, each element a fleeting thought of what I had left behind. Memories flashed before me: Eli's smile, the warmth of his laughter, the way his fingers intertwined with mine as if they were meant to fit together. The whirlwind of yearning enveloped me, each heartbeat a reminder of the love I was fighting for. And yet, the crushing weight of uncertainty lingered deep within. I landed abruptly, tumbling onto an unfamiliar surface that felt soft yet foreign. I pushed myself up, frantically scanning my surroundings as my breath hitched in my throat. I was alone, the world around me strange and inexplicably beautiful, if not entirely disconcerting. It was alive with colors and movements I had never seen, yet an aching sense of loss draped over me like a heavy shroud. "Eli!" I shouted into the void, panic rising like bile in my throat. The name echoed back to me, hollow and empty, and with each repetition my heart frayed a little more. My voice was swallowed by the vibrant landscape, and there was no answer, only the rustling of strange flora and the distant sounds of life that thrummed just out of reach. With shaky breaths, I pushed to my feet and began to walk, my heart drumming a frantic rhythm within my ribs. Dim light filtered through the trees, if they could be called that, each trunk twisting impossibly in shades not found in nature. I could feel the pulse of the world around me, a living, breathing entity that both fascinated and terrified me. But where there was mystery, there was also hope, and I grasped onto that thread as I ventured deeper into the unknown. With every step, my heart lurching painfully, I felt the remnants of that connection with Eli tugging at me, an invisible thread woven from love over distances unfathomable. I couldn't accept that this was how it ended. I wouldn't. The thought ignited a fire in my belly, propelling me forward even as questions spun in my mind. Where am I? How will I find him? Is he safe? The path twisted in on itself, turning me around and around until I stumbled upon a clearing. In the center lay an ancient stone altar, etched with symbols that flickered softly as if touched by invisible flames. As I drew closer, I sensed a pulse emanating from the altar, resonating with the essence of everything around me, a siren's call whispering secrets from beyond the veil. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows at the edge of the clearing, and I froze, fear gripping my heart again. It was a woman, ethereal in appearance, with long silver hair that flowed like water. Her presence filled the space, suffused with light and shadows that danced swiftly around her. "You are not meant to be here," she said, her voice soothing yet commanding. "This realm is not for the broken-hearted." "Please," I managed, my voice trembling under the weight of desperation. "I need to find him. Eli's in danger." Her eyes, pools of wisdom and sorrow, searched mine for understanding. "Your love has drawn you into this space, but the storm that brought you here also carries consequences. You must tread carefully. Shadows follow those who seek what is lost." "Consequence? I don't care," I shouted, anger surging. "Eli needs me." She stepped closer, her expression softening. "Love is powerful. It threads through the very fabric of worlds, but love can also shatter the veils that keep you tethered to your reality. What you forge in this place could either sever your bond or strengthen it." The weight of her words settled heavily on my shoulders. I could feel the echoes of storms, no longer mere storms of nature but of fate, swirling around me, trying to ensnare my heart and mind. "Then help me," I beseeched, my voice a fragile plea. "What do I have to do?" The woman hesitated, and for a fleeting second, compassion flickered in her gaze. "Return to the altar," she instructed softly. "Only there can you find a path back to him. But be prepared to face what binds you. The choices you make will ripple through the fabric of your lives. Do not tread lightly." I would have nodded in determination if the fear didn't grip me by the throat. I stepped to the altar, feeling the pulse beneath my feet quicken as I reached out to touch its surface, the ancient symbols glowing to life under my fingertips. A surge of energy enveloped me, flashes of memory, moments shared with Eli, moments where hope resonated, yet shadows danced at the periphery, whispering of sacrifices and losses unforeseen. Just as I grasped the images of Ellis' laughter between my fingers, a sudden realization flashed: echoes of me, echoes of Eli, fragmented pieces of our past. But now I stood before a crossroad, the very choice defining what lay ahead. The altar flared brighter, and the symbols began to shift and shimmer, swirling into a vortex of light, a doorway that pulsed with possibilities. But as it opened wider, dread returned, gripping my insides like icy fingers. "Eli!" I cried again, fearing that his name would be the only thing to guide me through the gathering tempest. And then I stepped into the light, knowing a choice was forming, a challenge that could either reclaim our love or shatter it forever. In that moment, as the energy surged around me, spilling shadows along the edges of my consciousness, I felt a whisper in the storm, a promise, a reflection of Ella's heart fighting alongside me, and a stark truth emerged. I was not just fighting for him but for us. But as the light enveloped me, an echo sliced through the fabric of my being, a cold whisper slipping through the cracks of my determination. "Love comes with a price, my dear," it taunted, and in that instant, my heart crumbled as the shadows of impending choices began to loom, threatening to alter the course of our destinies forever. The moment I stepped into the light, hope surged through me like a tidal wave. Yet it was met with an equally powerful tide of fear. As the energy swirled around me, the vibrant colors and sounds of the strange world shifted and blurred, creating a cacophony of memories and imagined futures with Eli. I could almost feel his presence beyond the veil, urging me forward, but the weight of uncertainty was an anchor, dragging me into a deeper abyss. The light surrounded me, pulsating, and as it pulsated, shapes began to manifest in the glow. I squinted against the brilliance, caught between the longing for Eli and the anxiety of the unknown. Faces formed within the luminosity, me parents, lost moments of laughter, and warm embraces. Their smiles felt like bittersweet specters, urging me to remember all that I held dear. But what haunted me amidst this radiant display was an absence that echoed loudly, the absence of Ellis' laughter, his touch, his unwavering support, and then, a ripple of darkness intruded upon the light. Shadows coalesced around me, morphing into shapes I recognized, fragments of past pain, moments filled with betrayal, isolation, and loss. The joy in memories was overshadowed by the remnants of arguments, goodbye texts that tore at my heart, and the last glance of disappointment when our worlds began to drift apart. It was a reminder that love, while powerful, was often shackled by the vulnerabilities of humanity. "Eli!" I cried out again, my voice breaking, desperate for him to emerge from the shadows that threatened to consume me. I was ensnared between the desire to forge ahead and the fear that by doing so, I might irrevocably lose him. But as I stood amidst flickering memories, a figure emerged from the depths of the luminescence, and my heart surged with recognition. A reflection of myself, older, wearier, but undeniably familiar. It was as though I were standing before my own heart and soul, an echo that mirrored every facet of my longing and pain. "Why are you here?" I gasped, paralyzed by the sight of this version of myself. "To find him," the reflection replied, her voice somehow echoing my own pain, yet layered with an odd sense of peace. "To find you?" "Find me?" I echoed, and the context settled around me like a heavy blanket. This wasn't just about finding Eli. This was about confronting the very essence of who I was, and how that identity intertwined with what I shared with him. "The storms you face are not simply external," she said, reaching out, her hand shimmering slightly in the light. "They come from within. You must face your fears, your regrets, the bonds that hold you captive before you can reclaim what you have lost." As the words sank in, I felt an overwhelming wave of sorrow. Shadows reminded me of the goodbyes I had never wanted to utter, the moments where I'd held back from saying the things that mattered. Each misstep echoed loudly. The ache of unspoken words resonated within me like a throbbing wound. The reflection gestured to the altar, the soft glow still pulsing, waiting for my decision. You must make a choice. Are you willing to confront the depths of your feelings? The truth beneath the shadows? Only then can you transcend the boundaries that keep you apart. Will it hurt? I asked, shaken by the weight of the task ahead. Oh, it will. Her voice was laced with both understanding and resolve. But every journey worth taking comes with trials. It is in the hurt that we discover strength. In the chaos that we find clarity. You are tethered to Eli in ways unseen, and the trials you face may forge a stronger bridge. The idea of delving back into memories both cherished and painful paralyzed me with fear, but a flicker of resolve also ignited within. If it were possible to reclaim not just Eli but also parts of myself that I had shielded from the world, I would have to take that leap. With a deep breath, I stepped toward the altar once more, allowing my hand to rest on its surface. The symbols flared to life, illuminating the path intertwined with me and Eli. But there was an unsettling presence, an omniscience, whispering through the air a reminder of the price I was yet to understand. The reflection smiled faintly, something tender illuminating her expression. Stay true to your love. It may lead you through shadows, but it will also lead you home. Just as the symbols began to swirl violently, the room shaking with an intensity one hadn't anticipated, a sudden realization pierced through me. Could confronting my past, our intertwined grief and joy, truly restore what had been lost? As the shadows churned violently around me, I opened my mouth to ask a final question, but before I could utter the words, a sharp gasp erupted from my lips as I felt the ground slip beneath me, and then the vortex exploded outward, casting me into darkness, leaving me suspended adrift, caught in the swirling chaos of the very shadows I had feared to face. An overwhelming sense of dread settled over me, and in the last flickering moments of light, I heard a distant voice calling out for me, a voice unmistakably Ellis, rising above the tumult. But then it whispered something darker, words that struck my heart like ice. You were never meant to carry this burden alone, but now that choice has been taken from you. As the shadows enveloped me, uncertainty loomed heavier than ever, my heart panting with the terrifying question hovering just beyond my awareness. What had I unleashed? The darkness wrapped around me like a heavy shroud, stifling and disorienting. I felt weightless, adrift in an endless void where time itself seemed to bend and warp. The last echo of Eli's voice lingered in my mind, a haunting melody of longing and regret that surged within me as I battled the encroaching shadows. Eli! I screamed into the suffocating silence, fighting against the absence that threatened to crush my spirit. My heart raced as my surroundings morphed in chaotic flashes of color and sound, snippets of laughter, soft whispers, and then screams of anguish. The vivid tapestry of memories collided within the darkness, folding in on one another like paper cranes, twisting until they formed a storm of emotion that swirled relentlessly. And then, perhaps from the very depths of this vortex, I felt a flicker of warmth. A hand brushed against mine, cool yet reassuring, grounding me in the tempest. I turned, and through the swirling mist, I glimpsed a figure familiar yet shadowed, an specter trapped between realms. Mama? The word slipped from my lips as I recognized her, a poignant, bittersweet pang of nostalgia filling the void around us. Her silhouette flickered like firelight, and in her darkened eyes, I saw endless love mingled with unfathomable pain. Sweetheart, she whispered, her voice a fragile thread weaving through the chaos. You're stronger than you know. You have the power to confront what lies ahead, but it will not come without sacrifice. Sacrifice? I echoed, fear gripping my throat. The shadows crackled, echoing her words with a twisted resonance. What do you mean? With a gentle motion she reached out, grasping my hand, and as her touch enveloped me, warmth flooded my being, illuminating the dense darkness with flickers of light. You are not alone, she urged, each syllable resonating with a mother's unwavering strength. The shadows around us recoiled slightly, as if her presence had broken their spell. Faith and love can lead you to the truest parts of yourself, even in grief. Eli, I need him, I uttered desperately, my heart aching with longing. This journey, what if it brings me further from him? What if I lose him forever? Her expression softened, a knowing smile breaking through the heaviness of the moment. Love cannot be lost nor destroyed, it can evolve. Do not fear the paths you need to explore. They may hold the key to bringing your souls back together. I don't know how to face the shadows, I admitted, dread swirling in my gut like poison. They change everything I believed. We must confront our darkness to embrace the light more fiercely, she replied, squeezing my hand tighter. Look closely, and you will find hope among despair. In that moment, with my mother's ethereal presence by my side, I felt a surge of courage. The darkness began to shimmer, the shadows parting just enough for me to glimpse a flicker of something bright within, a vibrant warmth so striking it made my heart swell with longing. Suddenly, I was thrust back into the maelstrom, the shadows enveloping me once more. But this time they felt different, less suffocating and more akin to familiar wounds, wounds that had not fully healed. Memories surfaced like fragments of broken glass. Arguments with Eli, the moments we had allowed pride to keep us apart, the night he turned away, and those final words left unspoken. Among the chaos, I stood at the intersection of love and fear, of hope and despair. A decision loomed, a decision to confront these memories, to unearth the truths buried beneath our sorrow and insecurities. The energy pulsing around me felt charged with an urgency, each heartbeat calling out to me as I clung to the flaming ember of hope inside. Let me in, please, I cried, tears streaming down my cheeks as I extended my other hand toward the vivid light. I don't want to lose Eli. I don't want to let go. The shadows swirled violently, crashing against my resolve as if trying to drown out my pleas, but the light pulsed in resonance with my heart, a symphony of desire, love, and yearning mingling with apprehension. I squeezed my eyes shut, focusing on the echo of Ellis' laughter that danced in my memory, the feel of his fingers intertwined with mine, a sweet balm against the ache of my soul. With that bittersweet recollection in my mind, I plunged deeper into the light, allowing myself to confront the darkness with every ounce of love I possessed. And then a whisper, soft yet powerful, pierced my consciousness, curling around me like a warm embrace. Eli. In that moment, I felt a shift, an opening that beckoned me closer. I opened my eyes, breath hitching, as the chaos subsided into an otherworldly calm. But what I saw chilled the very marrow of my bones. The light revealed not just memories, but a distorted image of Eli, shattered like glass with jagged edges, his own shadows looming large, a phantasm of hurt and loss that mirrored my own. Eli, I gasped, heart racing. His face, once so full of light, now mirrored fragments of despair and confusion. What happened to us? And as his haunting eyes met mine, I felt a convergence of emotions crashing like waves, both the ecstatic thrill of connection and a bone-deep fear of everything that lay between us. The connection crackled with the weight of untainted love yearning to break free, yet shrouded in the heavy mist of unresolved pain. Are you ready? He asked, voice wavering, echoing the uncertainty that grappled within me. And as the shadows reformed around us, resolute and consuming, the looming question hung over us like an impending storm. Could love truly transcend this chaos? Or was the darkness a harbinger of our inevitable rift? The shadows twisted around us, a chaotic swirl pulsating against the intensity of our shared gaze. I could feel Ellis' pain reflected in every flicker of the light. It opened the floodgates to a cascade of emotions, revealing a tapestry of anguish woven with threads of hope. The air crackled with energy, the remnants of our love fighting tooth and nail against the crushing weight of our unresolved past. I wanted to reach for him, to bridge the chasm that had formed between us, but a suffocating fear wrapped around my heart, squeezing it tightly. Did I have the strength to step into the fray, to challenge the darkness that threatened to consume us both? Are you ready? He repeated, his eyes searching mine, trying to peel away the layers of uncertainty that clouded my thoughts. The weight of the moment pressed down, and I wished for a clear answer, a definitive resolve to end this torment once and for all. That I don't know, I confessed, each word tasting of bitterness, longing, and the deep desire to shield him from the pain I had caused too. What if I don't recognize you once we descend into our shadows? What if the darkness twists you beyond recovery? His gaze softened, and I felt the warmth of his presence wash over me, banishing a sliver of doubt as if he had drawn the curtains of despair for a brief moment. Then we will search for each other. We'll unravel the pain together, piece by piece, even if it feels unbearable. I won't lose you again, not like this. His promise enveloped me like a balm, soothing the racing thoughts that scurried like frightened birds in my chest. I took a deep breath, feeling the synchronous rhythm of our heartbeats intertwining. With every pulse, I could sense the undying thread of love that had tethered us together, even in the darkest of times. Together then, I said firmly, my resolve solidifying like molten steel hardening in the cool air. Eli nodded, taking a step forward, every inch a testament to our shared ordeal. As we moved deeper into the swirling shadows, something shimmered in the depths, a question that echoed against the walls of our pain. What would we unearth? I gripped his hand tightly, as we spiraled further down the labyrinth of memories. The first memory hit us like a freight train, an argument echoing through the fog. I saw us standing in our tiny living room, a place once filled with laughter that now felt alien and cold. Why can't you just understand me? My voice rang out painfully. You're never here when I need you. How can I be there when you keep shutting me out? Ella's voice was raw, wounded by the very words I uttered. Shutting you out? I felt anger surge through me, a defensive fortress rising in the wake of our fragility. You don't even see what's right in front of you. The ache in my heart was sharper than despair. Watching our old selves hurt, like watching someone slip away into a chasm, leaving only shadows behind. The guilt reeled me in, but before I could spiral into regret, another memory pushed through the fog, one painted with colors of warmth and laughter. Eli and I sprawled on a picnic blanket beneath the expansive blue sky. His laughter a symphony that danced through the air. The sun bore down on us, and for that fleeting moment, everything felt right. It was the first time I had spotted the warmth in his eyes, an unearthly comfort that sparked the flame of love between us. Remember this? He smiled, his face illuminated with joy, oblivious to the impending storm that would soon breach our shores. Yes, I do, I replied, embracing the radiant memory. The juxtaposition was unbearable. How could we go from the innocence of that day to this? As if answering my unspoken question, the shadows shifted again, revealing another moment, this time filled with tears. Eli had sat on the edge of the bed, his expression shattered as he whispered, I can't keep doing this. I am drowning and you're not even here with me. Pain sliced through me like a dagger. I was there and yet so far away. Fear gripped me anew. My heart felt like a fragile glass, shards threatening to spill at any sign of too much pressure. I never meant to hurt you. I tried so hard to be perfect, but I just kept failing. Love isn't perfection, it's acceptance. His voice echoed softly, wrapped in vulnerability. When will we stop fighting against ourselves? More memories crashed upon us like waves, each suffocating moment tightening an invisible noose that threatened both of us. I caught glimpses of anger, misunderstanding, passion, and the fleeting happiness that ebbed away like tides. With every memory, I felt Eli's presence, and with it, a newfound resolve encased in the warmth of nostalgia. But the relentless shadows beckoned, and a sinister truth lurked within. The memories that ripped us apart were only fragments of a whole. This isn't the end, I whispered, as fear morphed into fierce determination. We can still reclaim our love step by step. But as we braced ourselves to confront the next memory, the shadows shifted again, revealing a dark figure appearing beyond the veil, a silhouette cloaked in despair and longing. Eli! My voice tremored with both shock and recognition. Who is that? He gasped, stepping back, fear dancing across his features as realization dawned. The shouldn't be here. That's a part of me I never meant to unleash. A lover turned adversary, shadows manifested. What had we awakened? As we stood at the precipice of this emotional cliff, uncertainty gripped me like a vice, a dark omen wrapped in torment, and the desperate urge for reconciliation. But like moths drawn to flame, we had to face the light and shadow within. Taking a deep breath, I stepped beside Eli, ready to confront whatever awaited us. As love and fear melted into one, waiting to either destroy or redefine our togetherness. And so, as the figure loomed larger, a tempest stirred within me. Was it too late to rewrite our destinies, or would this confrontation be the catalyst for our ultimate goodbye? The darkness enveloped us, an ominous presence that seemed eager to exploit the fractures in our hearts. My mind raced, grappling with the enormity of what lay before us. Eli's grip tightened around my hand, and in that singular connection, I felt the tremor of his fear, interwoven with the quiet hope that flickered like a dying candle as the figure stepped forward. Its features became all too familiar, eyes that mirrored Ellis, yet shrouded in shadows of resentment and betrayal. You think you can just come back? It hissed, the voice chillingly similar to Ellis, but laced with venom. You've already lost everything. Eli flinched, visibly shaken. Yet his gaze remained fixed on the manifestation of his pain. You're not real, he said, voice challenging but trembling. You're just an echo of what I've allowed myself to hide. I refuse to let you dictate my life anymore. The shadow grinned, an emptiness creeping into its expression. Is that what you think? Do you really believe love can just erase me? You drove me away, Eli. You're the reason we're here, trapped in your past. With every word I sensed layers of hurt unravel, and I watched Eli wrestle with shame. The path we had unwittingly traversed was littered with the broken pieces of promises, and those pieces were now alive, haunting us with every regret. Oh, I won't let you twist the narrative, Eli shouted, a spark igniting within him, igniting my own resolve. You may be born from my anguish, but you don't define us. It's time to heal. Around us, the shadows began to flicker, as if trying to stifle his voice. I felt the air grow thick with tension, the moment hanging precariously between despair and courage. In that charged atmosphere, an unexpected warmth enveloped me, a bubble of pure love emerging through the shadowy fog. I turned to Eli, and though uncertainty loomed, I knew we were in this together, our hearts entwined. Eli, I whispered, using every ounce of conviction within me. Remember that day in the park? How we laughed, how we let go of everything weighing us down. The figure faltered, its form shimmering as Ella's protective memories cut through the darkness. You think a mere memory can save you? Save this? It scoffed, but we pressed on undeterred. No, I said, stepping closer to Eli, my voice unwavering. It's not just a memory. It's a promise we made to each other. A promise to fight, to love fiercely even when it's hard. We may stumble, but together we rise. Together. In that moment, the connection between us surged, an undeniable force that seemed to ripple through time and space. My hand enveloped Ellis, and I felt him steady as he drew strength from our shared resolve. The figure swirled in frustration, and the darkness around it writhed like a tempest. Together? You think that matters when the cracks run deep? You can't erase me. I am the truth of your heartbreak. But even surrounded by darkness, I dared to respond. Then let's face that truth, Eli. Let's dive deep together. Time to confront the ugly, to piece ourselves back together one shard at a time. As I spoke, I recognized the flicker of hope radiating from Ellie, a beacon piercing through the oppressive darkness. Yes, we are not defined by our shadows, he shouted, a new fervor coursing through him. Suddenly, another memory crashed into view, bright and radiant. Laughter flooded the scene as we danced together under twinkling fairy lights at a friend's wedding, completely lost in the moment, the world outside fading into nothingness. In that memory, love was alive, untainted by the shadows that had since encroached upon our reality. Ella's voice softened. We have moments like this. Moments filled with love. We need to fight for those against the shadows. The figure distorted, hesitating under the intensity of our shared love. You will never be free. The shadows will always be a part of you. It snarled, though its voice trembled now, betraying a hint of doubt, but even as it spoke, the shadows warped around us, swirling with the energy of our determination. We stood firm, united. No longer victims to our past, we could no longer continue to let it dictate our futures. Suddenly, the figure flickered violently, its form shifting as if it were a mirage unraveling in the bright light. For the first time, it looked less threatening, an apparition of the past, quivering against the wall of our resolve, and just as the figure began to fade, another startling revelation tore through the veils of shadow. A whisper echoed, soft but unmistakable, "You can't escape what you bind together." Confusion gripped me as I searched Ella's face, realizing the depth of that sentiment, the lengths to which we had tethered ourselves to pain. Had we inadvertently shackled ourselves to the very thing we sought to escape? Panic flared within me as I grasped the full weight of its meaning. What does that mean? I cried out, fear clouding my heart. But before Eli could answer, the shadows lunged forward, swallowing the figure in a tumult of twisted darkness. And as the air crackled with the promise of revelation, we both felt it, an invisible barrier sealing us in, not merely binding us with shadows of our past, but trapping us with the weight of our unresolved truths. As the darkness rolled towards us, mounting in intensity, I heard a fragmented voice calling from within. Eli! Suddenly, our fingers interlaced more tightly than ever as we clung to the fleeting light between us, heartbeats harmonizing, our fate hanging perilously in the balance. What lay ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear: the shadows were preparing for a final confrontation, and whether we would face it together seemed to slip desperately from our grasp. In that breathless moment, the boundaries blurred between love and fear, tethered in an anguished waltz that merely hinted at the choice yet to come, a choice that could inevitably alter everything we had fought for. Would we remain bound together in unshakable unity, or would the weight of our past drag us apart at the dawn of our reckoning? The darkness pulsed around us, an inescapable abyss that threatened to swallow not just our love, but everything we dreamed of. It felt as if we stood on a precipice, our fears waiting to pounce like ravenous wolves. Eli and I clung to each other, determination coursing through my veins even as ominous shadows swirled closer. "We cannot let them win," I whispered, stepping closer to him, feeling the warmth of his body beside mine grounding me amidst the chaos. "We must confront whatever this is together." Eli nodded, eyes fierce as he exhaled a steadying breath. "You're right. I won't let my darkness define me anymore. We'll face the truth head-on. The only way out is through us." We stood united. A surge of shared resolve ignited the air around us. The shadows hesitated, seemingly aware they faced something formidable. This time we were not the scared children we once were. We had become warriors molded by love and loss. The figure reformed, a grotesque shadow wreathed in memories of dread and regret. "Do you really believe you can erase me?" It hissed, twisted fragments of Ella's past representing the pain we both worked so hard to flee. "These shadows are etched in your hearts, and they will haunt you forever." "No," I declared, my voice rising in defiance. "They will not dictate our future. We will confront you and take back the light." Eli shot me a look, his unwavering belief in us shining through those haunting memories. Together he echoed, solidifying our bond. I felt the love he held for me radiating through our connection. The shadows recoiled, uncertainty rippling through the darkness as the truth dawned upon them. I could see the brilliance of our shared memories, vivid and intoxicating days we spent laughing, late-night conversations that extended forever, moments of silence wrapped in a cloak of trust. "All those memories are ours together," I declared, feeling the heat of determination surge through me. The weight of our struggles, the guilt, and the pain were not the only artifacts anchoring us to the past. There were also feelings of unconditional love that folded effortlessly into our being. They shaped us, yes, but they do not have the power to dismantle us. A flicker of light ignited within me, spilling out into the fabric around us. It illuminated not just the darkness, but also the shadows that manifested our deepest fears. They trembled before the force we wielded. Our memories not merely fragments but powerful anchors that shaped who we were. The figure sneered, "You truly think love can override consequence?" "Yes," Eli shouted, his voice powerful and assured. "For every fear, every wound, there's a way to heal. And together we'll find it." Suddenly, the vortex of memories surged, crashing waves of light cascading around us and intertwining with the shadows, each luminous moment resonating deeply within. In its embrace, I saw clarity unfurl. The chain of regret that had tethered us was nothing compared to the bond of love that would free us, forged in trials and triumphs alike. "Eli," I cried, feeling an overwhelming urge to share the essence of me with him. "Let's show them what love truly is." With renewed courage, I wrapped my arms around Eli and pulled him close, melding our hearts into one. "Together always," I breathed, the words a mantra as I focused everything I had into illuminating the shadows, a radiant point of hope bursting forth. The ground quaked beneath our feet, and I could feel the shadows disintegrating under the intensity of our love. The very essence that had once felt so frail gained momentum, untethered and fierce. The figure shrieked as it began to unravel, the very tendrils of darkness that formed its being dissipated in the light we conjured. "That we choose love," we shouted in unison, our voices merging into a harmonious ripple that sliced through the chaos. As the shadows shrieked and writhed, the brilliance of our connection banished them piece by piece, overwhelming the shadows with the weight of reclamation. And in that fleeting moment, as light danced around us, weaving itself into the fabric of the darkness, everything froze. Eli's eyes locked onto mine, filled with gratitude and something resembling awe. He lifted his hand and gently caressed my cheek, a touch that held not just the essence of love but strength, the strength forged through trials traversed, the strength of souls intertwined. Before he could finish, the figure dissipated entirely, and then came the most extraordinary sensation. A wave of warmth flooded through me, the groundbreaking realization dawning even as the last remnants of darkness melted away into ethereal dust. Suddenly, the storm within my soul stilled, the shadows mingling with light, creating a kaleidoscope of colors that ushered in a tranquility I had never known. I was enveloped in his presence, and for the first time, I felt free, a lightness that transcended every hardship we had faced, with the last remnants of darkness unraveling into nothing. He took my hands, the touch igniting my very soul. We've battled our shadows and emerged stronger together. Together, I echoed, feeling the bittersweet release of every burden I had carried alone. It was gone, a weight lifted. Scars acknowledged but not feared. As I looked around at the dissipating shadows, I knew this was the pivotal moment that would echo into eternity. The choice to confront our demons became our strength rather than our weakness. Sky, Eli murmured, his expression filled with love that mirrored my own. You are my home. Together we can build a future unshackled from the chains of past shadows. That a flush of joy washed over me. And I realized I had needed this journey not just for Eli but for me. I had fought through the shadows and emerged into the light, healed and ready to embrace whatever the future held. With tears glimmering in my eyes, I smiled, knowing that the memories that shaped us were no longer a burden. They had melded into the soil from which our love had blossomed, and no longer would they dictate how far we could fly. As the last wisps of shadow faded beneath the glow of our love, I turned fully towards him, my heart swelling with promises renewed. We had seen through the darkness, understood the cost of love, and through it all, we had found one another. And in that moment, as the sun broke through the storm clouds above and kissed the earth anew, I understood that love was not merely about holding on but rather about the courage to find your way back, regardless of the barriers that lay ahead. Together we would forge a path unmarked by fear. And together we stood poised to embrace a love that neither time nor shadows could touch. Always, I whispered, echoing the heartbeat of our bond as we faced the dawn of a new day. It's always going to be us. The air felt lighter, the future brightening, and as we walked hand in hand into the warmth of a new beginning, I thought love will always find its way home.